Hey guys, let's break down the P. Diddy verdict and show how it can be a lesson for men not to let their power create a delusional mindset. So let's check out the video here.
As I mentioned at the top of the show, we are following breaking news out of New York City, where a bail hearing is being held for Sean Diddy Combs. Earlier today, he was cleared of the most serious charges he faced while being convicted of two prostitution-related charges. Each count carries a maximum sentence of 10 years. His lawyers are asking that he walk free while he awaits sentencing. CBS News legal contributor Jessica Levinson joins me now. Is that what we're going to? Hi, Jessica. Okay, I believe we have an announcement from the judge about whether or not Sean Diddy Combs will be released. Tell my audience what that announcement is.
So it looks like right now the judge is denying bail, meaning that he will not be released pending the sentencing hearing.
Okay, let me stop right there, you guys. So Diddy on the two heavier or harder charges, they're dropping those ones, but there's two other charges, I believe, under the Mann Act that they're still going to charge him for. They carry a lesser charge, but he's gonna. The thing is, he thought he was gonna make bail, and he's not making it. So he's gonna have to stay in jail or in custody, I believe, until October. So that'll be, man, almost probably over a year by the time he gets out, or so, if he does. So he got those greater charges he beat, but the other ones he didn't. So let's look at this here from yes, a red pill perspective, and let's talk about this a bit before we go on with the video here. And here's some key points. So number one, status doesn't immunize you from consequences. What does that mean? Money, fame, ability to attract women. It doesn't protect you from the wrath of this system. You mess up, you do stuff you're not supposed to do. Hey, and you may be able to get away with it a while with your status, your influence, and people in high places. But at the end of the day, and not obviously a day at the end of many years, this has all come to a head. I mean, Diddy has been big in the industry for over 30 years. So it's a long time. So even with his billionaire status, even with industry control, celebrity protection, and again, he's facing these decades of alleged abuse. So, we really have to look at this, our what he has in terms of all these things. It's not a shield, because it's not going to shield him from the court of public opinion and the legal system. And they're both rigged against men. We know that. Even if he beats everything in the court, there's a court of public opinion. Once things are put out there, people can't help but to believe it, or they question it. So kind of your status gets tarnished at that point. Through the whole Me Too movement, we've seen many men, and I believe innocent men, taken down because of it. All right, not that there's not people that honestly report things, but there's a lot of women out there that are going to make up this stuff to get their way. And this whole believe all women stuff, I was never down with it to begin with. All right. So anyways, let's check out the video some more, guys.
I want to emphasize that there are two things happening basically at once. Today is about the conditions of release, if any, and it looks like the reporting from inside the courtroom is that Sean Combs will not be released on bail. The judge right now is going through a number of different reasons. Again, very quick reporting indicates that the judge is citing to the defense attorney's own statements during the case that Sean Combs is a violent person, has had violent personal relationships. But of course, the defense said that doesn't mean he's guilty of racketeering. It looks like the judge is now using those statements to say he should be denied bail. Separate, what we know is that there will be a sentencing hearing. The prosecution has said we're going to ask for a good deal of time. We don't know exactly what that is. And the defense obviously wants no time at all. So two different hearings on two different issues. The sentencing is not today.
Right. And Jessica, to remind the audience, Sean Diddy Combs has been in custody since September. Is it, and I know this is not a typical case, he is by far not a typical defendant, and these are not typical charges, but if you have been incarcerated and found guilty of some of the charges alleged by a jury, is it typical that you remain in custody?
So it depends. It's a really good question.
Okay. let's dip back into this a little bit more with what I'm talking about here. So again, I've outlined a few reasons why Diddy, all the stuff he's gotten to, how it's just messed him up. It's come back to haunt him. And again, this has got to be a reminder for you men out there. Yeah, most men are not going to reach the fame, the status, the money of Diddy, but it's the things that he did, how he tried to buck the system, how again, whatever, if he was manipulating people or doing things that he knew would bite him in the butt, hey, we all could be guilty of that. And it's a lesson for all of us, quote unquote, lesser men that have less than him, not to do the things that he did. So let's dip into this a bit more again. So these dark triad behaviors, they do have a shelf life, be it manipulation, control, seduction, narcissism, Machiavellism, or psychopathy, are all seductive to women, but especially in the entertainment world. But when unchecked, they destroy your empire, and Diddy's alleged behavior reflects that long-term self-destruction of this unchecked alpha. Who've never really matured beyond domination and indulgence. This man was he was not a very disciplined man. Okay. Hey, don't forget to subscribe, like, and comment to the channel. Channel's new. I'm trying to get it off the ground. I am getting it off the ground, you guys. So just, subscribe, like, and comment if you want me to keep bringing this content up for you guys. Okay, let's look at another thing real quick. Women remember everything until the timing benefits them. All right, what does that mean? Hey, there's a lot of women that have came forward in this case 10, 20 years. Okay, so it's kind of like Bill Cosby. It's like a lot of these other celebrity cases, right? Where these women come out of nowhere for whatever reasons. You can kind of figure it out why. There's many reasons why they would or would not. Look at Cassie. We'll just take her case in point. Cassie was with him, I believe, 10 years. And, Cassie came out and sued him, and I think got $50 million of hush money out of him. They settled for that amount. But, Cassie to me is just definitely not a victim. Cassie to me was more like a willing participant to do anything Diddy told, to be in the middle of all the debauchery, and it sounds like she enjoyed it. I mean, nobody's a victim for 10 years. I'm not saying we can't be victims, but this is a victim for a decade. No, that's something completely different. And for those of you who want to think different, then you're delusional. So let's look back. Let's finish the thing here.
Depends on how long you've been in custody. It looks like, again, based on reporting from what's happening right now, that the judge is saying that the pre-trial detention was mandatory. And the judge is going to look at what typically happens when you have been found guilty of what happened in this case, what's called a Mann Act violation. And so I think your question is so well crafted in the sense that this is not a typical defendant, but we want to treat this in as typical a way as possible in the sense of what generally happens. He was detained pre-trial. The judge has said that was mandatory. You didn't fall within one of the exceptions. What now happens when you've been convicted of two of those particular charges? That's what the judge is going to be looking at. And again, right now, considering it sounds like statements that the defense made, essentially admitting that Sean Combs is somebody who has had personal problems, but they were doing so to try and argue that he should not be found guilty.
And Jessica, just to update you and our audience, I've been told from the control room that the judge has said that Sean Diddy Combs will remain detained until sentencing.
Wow. Well, there you go. You guys, you have it. So he's going to be detained. Again, I believe it's until October of this year. So even though he's escaped the worst charges, there's still a few other charges that might carry a little time, probably time that he can get out of pretty quick with good behavior, I would think. Don't quote me on that, not an attorney. So let's look at the last few things here, the lesson of everything here. This fame kind of creates an ecosystem, right? And it enables predators too, okay? When the world worships you, no one checks your behavior until it's too late, okay? And that's what happens with a lot of these celebrities. They can kind of get away with a lot of stuff because nobody checks them, all right? Be it the music industry, whatever party scene, your whatever elite circles, and this all enables just toxic behaviors, not just by women, but by men who simp for the fame and money. Okay, it goes both ways. Who did Diddy surround himself with? A bunch of yes men, a lot of status chasers, clout chasers, and so it went ahead and it did a backflip on him. Unfortunately, well, I won't say unfortunately because he asked for it. So don't become a monster to fame. Okay, and you just have to stay anchored in values and not vanity, and do what's right by yourself. Um, let's look at a few more things really quick. And once again, do not forget to subscribe and like and comment on the channel. Guys? All right. So, they love you when you're on top, but then they flip the script. So, the women, the media, even your friends will turn on you the moment you slip. Okay, so we've seen that. So I think Diddy's going to come out with a lot less friends and a lot less support. Well, I know he lost his Hollywood crowd most likely way back in last year, September, whenever. So here's the thing: hypergamy, it has no loyalty. A woman who once praised Diddy, now join the lawsuits. The same industry that protected him is now tearing him down. And this proves that respect is conditional. And if you don't maintain your frame, they'll just rewrite history against you. Okay, so, protect your legacy, men, and never forget how fast the world does turn. Okay, so you guys, we need to talk a lot about how women can be delusional, or we do talk a lot about how women are delusional, but we don't talk about enough how men are delusional, okay? And a man being delusional in this sense, being Diddy, he created this false reality that has now crushed him, and his world is turned upside down. So let this be a lesson, men, okay? So that's the word to the wise, and we'll see you in the next one.